Hi everyone, welcome to the new podcast, Narcissistic, with Dr. Yaya Marie. In this podcast, we take it much deeper than what I do on TikTok. In here, we talk about the spiritual aspect of narcissism, and we really take a look at what's really going on behind the scenes, okay? This podcast is actually for those of us who acknowledge that there is something going on beyond what we can see physically. I know that we have a lot of people of different faiths listening, but no matter what, I have never heard anyone deny the existence of your soul, or I never heard anyone say human beings do not have a soul. We may respectfully disagree on what happens to your soul, but I've never heard anyone say, oh, there's no such thing as a person not having a soul, or we just only have this one physical body. Okay, everyone acknowledges that there's either good or bad in this world. I mean, that's just how it is. There's good versus evil. So I want to present to you in this podcast and many to come, so make sure you stay tuned, the spiritual aspect of narcissism. Now, for this episode, I will be diving into why do you keep meeting the same person over and over and over again. Over and over. It's like the same person in a different body. How does that happen? Why does that happen? What took place for it to happen? So, have you ever been in a relationship that was toxic and you get out of that relationship and you meet somebody that is exactly like the person you just left? I mean, at first they may not have portrayed themselves as that person, but over time you start noticing, wait a minute, this is just what I got out of. Or have you met someone that's just like your narcissistic mother or father? How about that one? How about if you find yourself in a marriage and they act just like your narcissistic dad or just like your narcissistic mother? What about if you've been married a few times and they all ended the same exact way? Isn't that like a strange coincidence? I mean, I know I'm not thinking too much of it because it happens too often. And so many people ask this question. And I know I used to ask this question also. Why is it the same person that I meet is like the same person I just left? Down to the part where even the breakup would be the same. Even the things in the relationship would be the same. Why do I keep meeting the same person? Why is that? What is the whole entire ordeal really about? So I know when I did my research, I used to always see a lot of times people would give this answer. Oh, well, you're meeting the same person over and over because you haven't learned the lesson yet. So it's going to keep presenting itself. I have heard that over, and I mean, like, everybody says that, and they to a certain point that's right. You haven't really learned the lesson, but why do these people keep coming? Like, what is it about me? And that was another issue too, that it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with you, because when they give that answer, like they're saying, okay, well, you haven't learned the lesson. So essentially, it's like, okay, well, how many more times do I need this? I mean, what do you mean? What lesson? How do I stop the same person from coming at me? That's the problem. And how many times do I have to circle around the same tree for me to understand that this problem is something that everybody is going through or has gone through, where it's like that saying, out of the frying pan into the fire. So I want to just give you a little, well, not little, because this is a big deal. Especially, I think this is a really big deal, and it's going to really help a lot of people. Now, so back to what I was saying. a lot of times you may receive like this answer: oh, you haven't learned the lesson that was trying to be taught, or you didn't really take away what you needed to take away from that lesson, so it's got to keep repeating itself until you master it. That is all that I used to, see when I asked the question, why do I keep meeting the same exact person over and over again, but in a different meat suit? And of course, partially, like I just said, they got it right partially, but there's another aspect to it. And I am here to tell you the reason why you keep meeting the same person in a different body is because this is the same spirit jumping from body to body. Yes, I said it. Let it sink in. What is going on here is something called, or what the person has, or what you have in your lineage, or what is essentially following you, is a familiar spirit. A familiar spirit is just what it says, a spirit that is familiar with you, your background, your family's background, your lineage, the other party's lineage. It is familiar to you. It knows you. It may have grew up with you. Now, this is why you actually get a person. Let's say you meet a person and they have these coincidences. And I'm not talking about like little coincidences like, oh, our eyes are brown. I'm talking about coincidences as in we share the same birthmark, we share the same birthday. Every time I see this person, I'm seeing him also, or her also, in my dreams. Or when I'm around this person, I see different numbers that are different, a sequence of numbers all the time. What this familiar spirit is trying to do is make it seem like you have found your soulmate. So you may see their initials on the back of a license plate all the time. You may see their birthday on the clock repeatedly. Or you may see it will be a coincidence as in their name, or they both share the same, their ex-girlfriend or boyfriend has the same name as the one as the ex that you have. I mean, really strange things where it's like, how is this even possible? Let's say you come from a family where you have a mother is an alcoholic. Their mother is also an alcoholic. And it would be so many things that you have in common. It would not just be one thing. It would be a series of events that are in your family that are actually being presented as synchronicities to make you feel that this person knows you, this person is supposed to be in your life, this person is destined to be your soul mate. These type of coincidences and synchronicities, they are only there to further distract you and further kind of seal the deal when you're thinking your partner is actually for you when they actually are not. So these little things that the enemy is putting out there, that familiar spirits are they are actually like the soldiers who do the footwork for the enemy. So these things are, I call them things. These familiar spirits, they know your family. They know what's in your lineage. They know what you like. You think the enemy is going to send you something that you don't like? No, it's going to be something that you're going to gravitate to. You're going to like. It's going to be someone who has a lot of coincidences and synchronicities with you that's going to make you feel that you are supposed to be together. I'm telling you this. Now, I got confirmation of this in my own life. I had a a dream. And a lot of people that, you know I'm not the only one who's a heavy dreamer. So I had a dream, and I remember, asking, like, what is, it's the same person. This is literally the same person over and over again. But, I'm just like, yeah, well, it's just, I didn't really think much of it. Till I had this one dream, and this is going to blow your mind. I dreamt I was sitting on a park bench, and I dreamt I was sitting with an ex. Now, in these podcasts, I will not say anyone's name, and I will not give any titles of ex-husband or anything, because I don't know who is listening, and I still get hoovered, and look at all that I do. And I don't want anyone to think you are so important that I will be talking about. No, that's not it. But I digress. Let's move on. Now, I'm sitting at a park bench in my dream with an ex. Now, I saw the ex, and we were just like kind of just talking, and the ex was trying to reminisce. So I'm over here in the dream. I'm confused, like, why am I even here, like, are dreaming or thinking or reminiscing? I haven't talked to this person I'm talking about over a decade. And all of a sudden, the person's he changed into a different ex. So in the dream, I'm on the park bench, like, wait, what? Then in the dream, the person tried to grab me, and it turned into a devilish type, it turned into a demon. I got up out of the park bench, and I said, "Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan." And I woke up. I said, whoa. Okay, listen. When I woke up, I was okay, this is definitely confirmation. This is the same spirit, but that is using different people to get to me. So this is why you can let go of one narcissist or toxic person, and then you meet another one just like that. They have the exact same characteristics. Man, listen here. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody's got to hear it. I hope whoever needed to hear that, please let me know in the comments. Let me know. Email me or something. Because when I actually got this revelation, I was like stunned. I mean, my face did the whole Betty Boop face, like, oh, it's the same person. This is the same spirit that has been following me. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely, it sounds sci-fi, but this is 100% true. So just like we have of course we all know we have good angels, but what about the bad side? We don't just have angels always we do have angels always following us, but there's bad things in the spirit realm too. You have familiar spirits, you have demons, you have things like that. So let's not negate the fact that we all have a spiritual battle going on, and the battle is to distract you and delay you from your actual purpose, and it's to delay you or distract you not only from your purpose, but who you're supposed to actually be with. Because when you're spending time with the narcissist and that familiar spirit, you are actually delaying precious time that you cannot get back. No matter how much money you have, you cannot get back time. So, with that being said, I remember when I had that dream, I woke up. When you wake up, make sure you write down your dreams, because it's so easy to forget them. So it's really helpful if you can write them down, and you look back in it. You look back on it later. So I had that revelation. I said, wow, the relationship was a setup from the beginning. It was a setup. It was a real live setup from the beginning. This is why you have so many synchronicities when you're in this relationship trying to trick you and make you feel like you have met the person you have met your life partner, and it is not true. I remember this was so long ago. I remember having a lot of synchronicities with this person, and then when I look back on it and I had that revelation, I said, oh my gosh, that person after had the same synchronicities as the other ex. I know somebody out here feel me. I'm telling you. So it's like, I used to see a lot of number sequences together. Those things about the numbers, always seeing 111, 444, 222, that is just to drive you insane. Let me tell you something right now. This is, if you open up, and I know, like I told you at the beginning, I know there are different faiths in here, but whatever you read, especially if you're Bible based like me, if you're Bible based, I have never read numbers 222 means an angel number. Number 111 is an angel number. I've never read that. And you have to think that type of that doctrine, and that is coming. It might be a angel number for somebody else, and I'm not talking about an angel as what we are, a good angel. I mean, that is something to really drive you out of your mind. It's a confirmation to be like, oh well, did you see that number 2? I saw it too. Oh my gosh, let's look it up. It's such a coincidence. No, that type of stuff is to drive you insane, and it's to confirm that relationship is not where you're supposed to be. But I'm telling you, the devil is really tricky. He's really tricky. And these familiar spirits, and I say family is because a lot of times these familiar spirits, that's how they got their name, is because back in the old days, especially Old Testament, they actually knew these spirits were from your family lineage. This was something that families had, or they grew up, they traveled through the line, through generations. So this is how they even got the name familiar spirit, because it knows you, it knows your lineage, it knows your family, everything. So one thing we have to do, you have to ask and pray. And you have to ask, like, okay, well, you know what, Father, please show me this person. Show me. And I can guarantee you, he will show you. But it's up to us to listen. That's the whole, that's the cherry on the top, is the listening part. So these familiar spirits are to distract you and delay you. And it's not only talking about relationships. We're talking about, what about your career path too? You ever been getting ready for like a big interview, or you're getting ready for something very important, and then you have something odd just happen where you get stuck in the snow, or you're tired, this or that, or for some reason your alarm does not go off. All the familiar spirit is trying to do is to distract you or delay you from what you're supposed to be doing in this earth realm. Okay? Now, I want everyone to think about I'm going to give you some homework. What are some coincidences, now that you're even thinking about this, it's in your head now. What are some coincidences that you had when you were with the narcissist, and then you met another narcissist and they had these type of coincidences? Or were there some coincidences in your family with that narcissist? For example, if your father was addicted to drugs, was the narcissist father also addicted to drugs? Or if you had a sister who had a hobby that was, just particular to that sister, did the narcissist have that in their family line too? Did you used to see numbers all the time? Did you used to see their names just on random billboards. More than one occasion, of course. Did you see that a lot? I know for me, I used to see initials on the back of license plates. I'm talking about every time I get in a car and the car in front of me has the initials on there. And I'm talking about every single time. I would say maybe like 80% of the time I get in the car and I would see that in their license plate, their initials on their license plate. And I was heavy seeing those numbers. I mean, I would see numbers repeated all the time when I was with the narcissist. And I thought it meant, I thought, oh yeah, this confirmation, this how it's supposed to be to get. No. It's only to make you fall even more deeper into the rabbit hole. So just like how we have angels, there are demons out there too. There's a kingdom of light, there's a kingdom of darkness. What is going on is that the familiar spirit, they know all your weaknesses, they know your temptations, they know what you like, what you don't like, your family lineage, your weaknesses, especially your weaknesses, and they use it for your downfall. That is why the narcissist is sent to you over and over again in a different meat suit, a different body. That is the reason why. So yes, in the beginning, as I was stating about how you always hear, oh, it's because you didn't learn the lesson yet. Yes, that is true in a sense, because once we recognize that meat suit, that person that is being used by a familiar spirit, then we can hop off the roller coaster and be like, no, I'm not going to do this. Because I can tell you now, right now on this podcast, the first red flag that you see, block them, like how I see on TikTok. TikTok is going crazy over my block them. I need that on a shirt, by the way. Alrighty, so I am going to go off this podcast, and big shout out to my mother, because she's like, did you do the podcast yet? And she's actually calling me now. Did you do the podcast? Yes, I did, ma'am. Alright, so until next time, and guess what? Listen, next podcast, I am going to be breaking down how the relationship, and it's titled for the next one, the relationship was a setup. It was a setup. Yeah, the relationship was a setup. All right, so stay tuned. This is the very first one, and hey, if this is not your thing, that's okay. And if it is, listen, we are going to actually, I'm exposing all these narcissists. They are going to get exposed. And I hope that everybody gets the courage to move away from toxicity. You do not need to be going around and around this roller coaster of toxicity. You do not need it. You don't need it at all. It's unhealthy. It takes away from your time. Your time is valuable. It is extremely valuable. Remember that. So next time you see somebody with a familiar person, someone who has these strange coincidences, run like Forrest. All right? Bye.